Thanks for being here with me today.
Anytime for you.
Okay, I wanted to ask you some questions just about, going into our 6th year together, our grandma era. Obviously, we've experienced a lot.
Yes.
And one of my first things I think, well, that I've been reflecting on, but want to ask you about is if you were to go back to your freshman year, talk to your freshman self, look at everything you've learned, what would you tell yourself? What advice would you give yourself going back?
I mean, at that time, I was at a different school. I was surrounded by different people, and it's funny because I feel closer to them now than I did at that point.
Really?
Yeah, and I really value our relationship. I saw one of my teammates a couple days ago randomly in a mall, and it was like,
Oh,
Maddie,
oh,
cheer, yeah, and it was just like, she just tapped me. She's like, hey, and I like we just bear hug each other. So, but I would probably tell myself one to give myself grace. I mean, I still struggle with that to this day, but I'm very much of a perfectionist. I expect perfection out of myself, which is obviously unattainable. And so then, and being such a versatile player, I feel like I can always improve in every single aspect of my game, like no matter what it is. So just being able to make the mistakes and working through it. I think I always and sometimes still do get hung up on those mistakes, and that just like digs me into a hole, can't get out of it.
yeah.
And especially I remember like that freshman year, it was just hard for me mentally. I didn't realize how much the mental stuff was actually like in high school. I don't know, I was just hooping and that's it.
She's getting buckets.
I was getting buckets, exactly. And then go on a bigger stage and all of a sudden it's like slap in the face. This is reality. So yeah.
Yeah, and it was COVID.
Yeah. And people don't understand like that actually did take a toll on us.
It was completely different.
Yeah.
Like you can't even really explain to people now what COVID was like. The testing, like having no one in the gym, having cardboard cutouts of people in the gym. Did you have that in your school?
We did. I remember actually when we went to Arizona. Arizona had good ones. They had like
they did,
Borat and all this stuff. It was funny, but yeah.
Okay, great. So you decided to stay, obviously, for your 6th year.
Yeah.
What kind of went into your decision?
You. Anything for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, a lot of things went into my decision. I think that was the hardest thing for others to understand is I wanted to go to the draft this year. I think I was ready. I thought I was ready last year too, but I really wasn't.
You and me both.
Yeah. But yeah, one big reason is the fact that we have Eurobasket this year and it's at the beginning of the summer. And with my national team, we always have to be there a month and a half early. So that would be, time out of training camp, out of the whole the preseason of the WNBA, all that stuff. So I wouldn't, and I think there's like some rules that if you miss a certain amount of games or days, like you're not allowed to make the team. I think I don't know the exact rule, but something along the lines of that. So that was the one big thing where I could get drafted, but they would just have my rights and I wouldn't be able to play. Another thing that my agents were explaining to me was that next year not the ownership, but there's going to be a big change for like the players where they're
in the league.
Yes, hopefully they're going to be able to make more money, and that's another thing. It's like, I mean, I did not come to college. We both didn't come to college for money, which is
right.
Oh, that's a whole different topic. Whole different topic, but
I definitely
kids these
kids these days. But no, yeah, I'm getting more money than I would be if I were to play in the WNBA. If I were to go overseas, I think I'd be making around the same amount, more or less, depending on what team, where I go to and stuff. But I think my decision to stay was just what I thought was best for me, and also I just don't think I explored LA enough. Like I
yeah, we need to do
more.
All of the things.
Everything. We need to be a tourist or be
Right,
tourists.
I've started my list. So.
Okay, I'm gonna join you. You just take me wherever. But yeah, I think before my first couple of years here, I was just in my box. I still am in my box, but I've ventured out a little bit more. A little bit more.
JC, if you're watching.
You know, if you know, you know. But oh God, but
We
yeah.
won't put that in.
No, I don't really care. Only certain people know, so it's okay.
Right, they don't know what to know.
But yeah, so I just want to be able to explore more, and I've grown to love LA, like not just like, but actually love living here. I could see myself living here for a few more years.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you stayed because you were a big part of the reason I transferred here.
Thanks.
Angela.
Yeah, when you called me in Cabo.
Fun fact: Angela was the first person I called, probably even before the coaches. Honestly. Really? Well, I spoke to Corey. I won't get into that because she, but recruiting things. But yeah, after they initially called me and were like, we want you to come, blah, blah, blah. I was like, let me call Angela and get the real tea from Angela.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you were in Cabo.
Yep.
Then
I live in life,
and pulled you away from the beach and everything.
that's okay. I mean, when you called me, I told you the truth.
Yeah, you did.
For the most part, I think.
You did. Laid it all out there, and
I was like, if you want
We're
it,
still here.
come. If you don't, that's fine.
no, I know. I'm so excited to play with you because one, I won't be the only grandma. Two,
I literally have. I told you this multiple times. I've been admiring you since our freshman year. Like, I was just in awe of you. I was like, Jesus Christ, this girl's so good. And then finally, our worlds collided.
our worlds collided.
When we were in Serbia, New Zealand came to play.
A little backstory.
Yes, and then you, Crystal, me, were at half court stretching after the game, just yapping.
Yeah.
And then next year you play against us, have a little injury, we're okay, we moved on past that. And a little bit after that, you say, I'm transferring, and then you come to UCLA.
Right. Isn't that like red string theory or whatever you call it?
Whatever that is, butterfly effect, I think.
Butterfly effect.
Yes.
I don't know. There's so many. I know. I'm just like so hyped to play next season with like. I'm just so excited for our team. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
And teach these kids real basketball.
Just a little bit. Okay, you touched on the injury piece a little bit. Obviously, I'm rehabbed from my ACL, and you obviously went through your ACL. What year?
My junior year.
Your junior year.
Yeah.
And sat out all of junior year.
All of junior year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously, going through something like that, I feel like you learn so much, not just about your body, but about yourself.
Yes.
How you respond to different situations, how you can be a teammate without contributing on the court. Like I think there's so many layers to having an injury that isn't talked about as much. And I just want to know, obviously, when you were going through that process, were there things that you found out about yourself that shocked you, or I don't know, maybe came to light that has stuck with you now and you're more aware of it, or what was that like process?
Yeah. I mean, so the year before that, I played not even half the year because I also had another knee injury on my other leg. But I just remember at that point, I was like, it's fine. Like, I'll be back by the end of the year. I'll be playing. So I never really understood the path of people who were injured. I didn't, like, when I saw the people who were injured, I was like, I couldn't empathize with them on the level I can now. Yes. And so I would just see them and I'm like, they just can't play. Like, whatever. Like, they're done. They're cooked. No, and literally that's my thought. And that's such a terrible way of thinking, but I didn't know any better. I genuinely didn't know any better. And no one that I was really close to had gone through a major injury. I've only seen it on the news and stuff. My mom went through a major injury, but you know, when your parents tell you things, you're like, oh, like you think you're invincible and all this stuff. And then when I were training for the World Cup, like maybe a week or two before it, tore it in Serbia.
Oh, you were in Serbia.
Yeah. And then that was just like, and I just remember the moment, and oh my God, it was just gross. I wish that on nobody. I don't care who you are. I wish that on nobody, because it's one thing to go through. I think for basketball players, or not for athletes, the physical part of it is almost the easiest part. Like, that's just, it's not smooth sailing. There's obviously going to be things that, like, you can't get your quad strength up or whatever, all these different things, but for years you've been training and your body knows.
Right, you're used to pushing yourself and retraining yourself.
Yes. What I had never trained in my life before was my head. Exactly, and that was just that I was a terrible teammate. I would not say nutcase, but very, very hard, difficult to work with. I regret a lot of things. Would I change them? No, because I think it brought me to where I am now and how much I've matured over these 5 going on to 6 years. And I think that's what a lot of like the coaching staff and everything has noticed about me is how much I have matured. I understand I'm here longer than really every other player. I'm here for my 5th year, but 5th year at UCLA. But yeah, I think that they would understand how much I've grown from basketball-wise to emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, all of that stuff. Like, yeah, complete 180.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge. And again, you can't really understand it unless you go through it, you know. And I think for me, sitting out this year, the contribution part was like the biggest thing for me. It was like, I'm so used to just being on the court and whatever you need from me from that standpoint, like I could give it to you. And I would say I've always like prided myself in wanting to be a good teammate and doing that. But, you know, you don't feel like you're impacting the team as much or, you know, doing anything. And our coaches are really good at, you know, praising you and giving you your flowers and putting you in the hot seat and, you know, telling you you are doing a good job, but it's one thing to hear it and another thing to feel it. And I think that was something for me I had to constantly remind myself of, like, no, you can still have an impact. You can still be a good teammate. You can still do all of these things that the team needs from you. And at the same time, you can also feel like, you know, it doesn't feel like enough. So
I do, the part that I think you and I are different in is in the fact that, like, so I think both of for us, the coaching staff pushed us to talk more, to speak up when we obviously couldn't play. But and I know this is not right to say and everything, but I think your words carried more weight to it because you were a better teammate, because they also knew how good of a player you are, sorry. But for me, it was, they knew I was a good player, but they also couldn't take my word exactly because I was not there consistently for them day in and day out. Like, I was constantly with them off the court. We were really good friends off the court, but when it came to basketball, I think I lost respect because I was just pushing myself away from them. I didn't like being with them when it came to basketball because they were doing something that I couldn't, that I love. And it was like my whole injury process, you literally took my whole identity away, which was basketball, which is not a good thing to put, you know, all your eggs in one basket when it comes to your identity. It's real, but it is real, exactly. And like when people look at me, they're like, oh, you know, like, that's that Serbian basketball player. She's really tall. Like, but like basketball player, that's like the key thing people know me for. And like, you know, when people ask my parents, like, hey, how's Angela? How, you know, how's basketball and all that stuff? Like, that's what they have in their head immediately. So once you take that away, I was like, I am no one.
yeah. Do you think you've gotten better with that as the years have gone on? Because I also know, obviously, going to the Olympics and having that also be such a big accomplishment, but that's a big part of your identity sometimes too. And I know we talked about it early in the year, and you're like, oh, people, like, everyone's just like, oh, you're the Olympian, you know, and that can be hard too, you know, as the more successful you are, obviously, that your identity kind of gets bigger. Do you think that that's added onto it, like for your 5th, 6th year, or do you think you've gotten better at spreading out, I guess, your identities or not having so much weight or pressure on that part of your life?
I think for me, it's my relationship with the Olympics and everything is hard because, and also same thing when we got won gold in Eurobasket in Valencia in 2021. That, like, all these different tournaments, I don't feel like I fully deserved it because I don't think I earned it. Like, which is, I know is a wrong way of thinking, but I think part of it was handed to me, part of it was, you know, all this different stuff that goes in my head. But I know I earned it because, you know, my coach saw something in me and still sees something in me, and wants me to be, you know, the next big thing for Serbian basketball. And so it's, you know, I don't go up to people and say, like, hey, like, I'm 2-time Olympian, like, you know,
You should. Hey,
I'm just
I
like,
actually am.
hey, I'm Angela. But yeah, for example, Corey, when it comes to recruiting and stuff, she's a 2-time Olympian. I get so shy. I'm like, yeah, like, you know. And I actually took it out of my Instagram bio a couple days ago because I was like,
Wait, did you actually?
yeah, because the only reason why I put it in was because I saw some of my other teammates do it, and I was like, you know what, like, it is a big thing for me. Let me just put it in there.
You took it off and
Yeah, I don't know. I just like, yeah, I just feel like I have more in me, and I think that's the part where I still, I do think I got better. Before, basketball used to be my everything. I think I still have a lot of work to do because right now when I, have a little bit of school, but not too much, and I don't have a lot of basketball, I sort of find myself like in my room, like, okay, what am I gonna do today? I don't have a car. I got a scooter. I can, ride that around Westwood, but like I'm just trying to figure out what can I do. And the easiest thing for me is to go hang out with people, but then, and I can go by myself to go get food and stuff, but like when it comes to just putting myself out there, that's what I really struggle with. And I think
that's why you need me.
yes, exactly. You're my winged woman. But I need to work on figuring out myself and my identity more, I guess. But that's a whole process.
I mean, it's hard when you're a student athlete. Your whole life is centered around that. Like, it's very hard to find that balance. But it's okay. We work on that. We're going to be roomies next year, so
Yay! I'm excited to have a roommate again.
lots of fun. And Gianna.
Hey.
Hey. Okay. Best part of college basketball, something you're going to miss once we're done here.
This is a random one, but I know this is gonna sound so bad.
What are you gonna
American gyms.
Like basketball gyms?
Basketball gyms.
Valid point.
Like that's just like
Valid
it's a
point.
small thing.
No, it's I know. I get that.
Yes, but like gyms, locker rooms, all this different stuff, literally everything. And I can't emphasize this enough. Nobody understands how good we have it until you leave. Like when you play for your national team, it's a complete 180.
Oh, I feel you on
Do you understand? So like it's like we literally get handed things here on a silver platter, gold platter, whatever it is, and I'm obviously gonna admit, like I'm trying not to take it for granted because I'm just like when someone does something for me, I'm like, oh my god, thank you so much, because some people just would not do that for you. Not saying that my national team
Most people won't. Outside of college, most people don't cater to your every need.
Exactly, and when you go play professionally, like that is just a completely different state. It's business. I mean, now slowly college is turning into a little bit of a business, which I'm not really. I have mixed emotions about it. However, once you go professional, wherever you are, like they don't really care about your feelings. You're there to do your job, and that's the thing where I struggle with. Where I want someone to care about my feelings, and to me, basketball isn't a job. It's like something I love. So that's.
Okay, good. American gyms. I wasn't expecting you to say that. I thought maybe you're gonna say like your teammates or like
That too, obviously. Yes.
maybe,
You
like,
guys are my sisters for life, so.
it's all right. We won't go anywhere. Just maybe different parts of the world. Who knows? We might play somewhere in Europe together.
We could always go somewhere. That'd be
Maybe
fun.
in the
Do
league
dual
together.
contract, or if you
Or
want
a
her.
package.
Yes.
Or a
Package deal.
Package deal. Love it. Okay, so after college, obviously you want to go play professionally. WNBA, going to the draft 2026.
2026. Supposed to be 2024.
Yeah, that feels weird coming out of my mouth. Anywho, 2026, and then want to play for your national team, obviously the whole time you're playing pro.
Yeah.
Europe as well. Yeah. Kind of the whole shebang.
I would literally go anywhere. Like, I would love to go to Asia. I would love to go to Australia, just to travel and meet new people and all that stuff. I think basketball has opened a lot of doors for me with traveling. Like, I don't know if I would have ever gone to Senegal with, went with UCLA. I don't know.
Some of the places I've been with basketball is actually insane.
I don't think I would have left. Maybe I would have gone to Serbia without basketball, but outside of that, I don't think I would have left the United States without basketball. And that's partially because like how my family is and all that stuff, but also just myself. Like I struggle with just going by myself, as I said before. So I think honestly, just wherever I'm wanted, wherever I'm needed, whatever I need at that point too. I think some places are harder to play because maybe they're more isolating and maybe you don't have people that you could speak the same language to, different cultures and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
I would still love to learn, you know, and go. And I like think that's also like tied in with my major, like my history major. But like plug history major here. But I just like going like touring places, whether it's museums, cool artifacts. I don't know. Just
That's the nerdy side of you. No, I love that. Um, okay, my last question is going into your senior year of college basketball.
retweet for you too, but all right.
hmm Is there kind of something that you are focusing on, or is it a different mindset? Because I know when I went into my first senior year,
Yeah.
uh, it felt like a lot of pressure. It was, I felt like everything was coming at me really quickly. And for me, right now, I feel like I'm taking more of a one day at a time, just grateful to be here type of mentality. And I think a lot of seniors honestly struggle with that. Because it feels like, it's your last everything. And it is. But do you think that's kind of shifted for you a little bit too? Or are you still, it feels like a lot of pressure, it feels like.
Mix of both. I think this past year was like sort of like that trial run because I wasn't sure if I was coming back or not until later in the season. I can't even remember when, honestly. Um, but I think the time where I wasn't thinking about it, like wasn't thinking about the pressure, was at the beginning of the season, and I was playing really, really well. And then all of a sudden, I started thinking about, am I staying? Am I going? All this different stuff. Like it was just everything all came at once, just at one point, and I was just ready to be in my bed and not leave my room. Like I was, you know. But I think also it comes back to the injury part where like I just, am very, very grateful to be on the court.
Yeah. Playing again.
Yes, and so I try to keep that in mind. I try to keep the fact that this is going to be my last year, and I remember at the beginning of last year during preseason-ish, I was just like, I would just take a deep breath and I'd be like, I'm so happy I'm here.
Yeah.
So happy I'm here. And it's hard. It gets harder throughout the season because it's more
Closer.
yes, closer, more trifling, all that stuff. Like
Body's going through it.
body's going through it, not mixed emotions, a lot of emotions, just from everybody, whatever. And so I think at one point I lost that, which was at that point where everything was happening, and then once I just figured out what I was gonna do, I try to steady myself out. I don't think I did the best job, but I think if I could have, and if I do now in this next upcoming season, like I'll be good.
Right. So if you were to talk to your February, March self right now, what would you say?
I mean, that was so like soon.
No, this upcoming February, March
This
self.
upcoming.
When you're in the thick of it,
Yeah.
season's almost winding down.
You got a couple more games, couple more months, and just to let you know, you're not gonna get this opportunity again. So, as much as you might not be liking it or whatever's happening, like it because it's your last one. So, actual last one. I literally have no more to pull.
There's no other way you can come back, Angela. Okay, enjoy this moment.
Wait, I do have to say, it was funny because Tony was talking to some recruits today, and he was saying how I was supposed to stay for 4 years. Like, I was set on 4 years, and that was it. And then we were all surprised I was going to take a fifth. Like, okay, maybe she needs it, but like, well. And then everyone was like, all right, sixth year? Like, what's wrong with you? Because I hate school, all this stuff. They're like, what is going on? But now I learned to love school, so I don't know. Yeah, side story.
Yeah, it's great. We love it. I'm glad you're here.